As Ayn Rand correctly identifies in her magnum opus, Atlas Shrugged, sacrifice does not mean the rejection of the worthless, but of the precious. Sacrifice does not mean the rejection of the evil for the sake of the good, but of the good for the sake of the evil. Sacrifice is the surrender of that which you value in favor of that which you don't. If you exchange a penny for $1, it's not a sacrifice. If you exchange $1 for a penny, it is. If you achieve a career you wanted after years of struggle, it's not a sacrifice. If you renounce it for the sake of a rival, it is. If you own a bottle of milk and gave it to your starving child, it is not a sacrifice. If you give it to your neighbor's child and let your own die, it is. If you give money to help a friend, it is not a sacrifice. If you give it to a worthless stranger, it is. If you give your friend a sum you can afford, it's not a sacrifice. If you give him money at the cost of your own discomfort, it is only a partial virtue, according to this sort of moral standard. If you give him money at the cost of disaster to yourself, that is the virtue of sacrifice in full. At the heart of sacrifice is the notion of value. Mark Hamilton and his self-leader literature teach the individual that they are the highest value in the universe, and that there is no rational way to live by sacrificing values to disvalues. The single inestimably valuable integration allows an individual to reject boundless guilt in the notion of sacrifice as an ideal to be strived for, and thus take the first steps to achieving happiness, prosperity, and romantic love. Mark Hamilton and his self-leader literature have taught me the highest of all secrets, the purpose of life itself, to achieve long-lasting wealth, health, peace, and happiness. This secret alone is worth many times the entire cost I've paid over 15 years of purchasing Mark Hamilton's literature. From this highest of secrets comes the revelation that living your life for your own selfish pleasures is the moral good, and by extension that sacrificing your own personal happiness for the people or objects that have no value to you is the moral evil. When you fully understand this concept, you can reject the damning notions of higher good and higher authorities,